Yo, what's up? It's Curry with it. Uh, it's sheesh. It's Friday, June 30th, and fresh off work. I don't know how much of my phone is gonna capture what I'm gonna say, but this is really like a message to myself and potentially my kids. I do have kids. They may be interested in knowing this, but um, it's really more to myself. So I found myself in deep thought, and I kept telling myself like I keep hurting myself. I keep hurting myself. I keep hurting myself by giving myself away in such a way that I can never get myself back. And I kept thinking to myself like, wow, we all. I heard stories about the strong ones in the family, the black sheep of the family, those the those leaders, the people who had the hard life, and the hard life made them a bigger and better person. I heard these stories and I keep identifying with them, but then I never say anything to myself about it because I find myself in that person, and I kind of like adapt their story versus my own. And I've always been scared to just say it, like, because I think it may be too much of a strong, too much of a, what would it be like? It may be too strong of a position for me. It may be too strong of a person that I don't believe that I am, because I'm so busy watching everybody else's story. I'm so busy connecting with everybody else and finding myself in everybody else that I don't see that, I may be all that I ever wanted to be. So it's so weird. Um, it's so weird because I do I do so much for others to the point where all I want is someone to identify with me that I may be the one who really needs the help. I've gathered a lot of skills over the years, and although I don't know a lot in maybe the skill that I'm in, but it's easy for me to gravitate to the knowledge that I need to get further with that skill. So it's like I'm wearing all of these different hats, and I'm running to all of these different problems just to get away from my own problems. And ultimately, I'm showing up for somebody else to say, hey, I need help too, but I don't say that in particularly. I just show up with a brave face, and then I'm hoping that they can read through the desperation of me showing up for them, that they can see that I needed to know that your situation is worse than mine, so I can feel good about mine. It's so such a horrible thing, like such a terrible thing. In my mind, I was telling myself like, I'm only coming to your rescue to see if your situation is worse than mine, but deep down inside, I'm the one who really needs the help. So while I'm here, what can you help me with while I'm helping you? And I don't know, like, me, I guess, being put in a predicament of isolation. I'm miles away from my family. I'm nowhere near away from comfortability. I'm living out of my vehicle. I find myself in these relationships, and I love the person cold-heartedly, whether they talk to me good, bad, ugly, worse, or whatever. And then I find myself in those people that's just yearning for love, affection, help, dedication. I find myself in those people. So then I give my most authentic self. It could be fear, it could be bravery, it could be me not knowing topics of life, or it could be me not knowing even something simple as a song or a simple drink like an alcohol drink or a certain food. I show up like, oh, what the hell? And it's like I be afraid that people look at me and think that I don't know what I don't know. It's like I'm afraid that they know I don't know what I don't know. And I be thinking to myself like, what an unbrave way to live. Why not live in your truth, in your authentic authenticity authentic self? Why not live in your authentic self? Like, what about you is got you so down to where you can't be happy that you don't know it all, that you do want love, that you are, making mistakes every day, but you look at them and you reflect. And sometimes, a deep conversation is very much well needed. I come around all these people and they always tell me like, man, you so philosophical, but then I don't feel it. I don't feel it because I'm so worried about what's in my head. And then I don't talk. Like when I meet a person, I don't talk for months, but then I kind of gravitate to them to see what they know. And then I be like, wow, they know so much. And then when I get to talking, people be like, oh man, Curry, you're like really philosophical. And like, why don't you have, belief in yourself and this, that, and the third? Like I said, recently moved away from my home state. I'm working on 7 months now. So I just start speaking to my crew, with my authentic self. At first I was talking like I was almost talking without nouns and pronouns when I first got here, because I was afraid that if I talk with too many if I talk with too much enthusiasm in my voice or like excitement, that they may look at me like I'm a fraud, or like I have too much in optimism in myself, to where it may come off as unbearable to the next person. And I always ran from that, but here I am. I'm in this state where I can't really connect with anybody or anything or talk about anything relative, because I don't know. I just don't know what I don't know. So then when I get to that point where I want to talk about something that I do know, now I'm talking too much. And then they're looking at me like, damn, like, what? Where did this person come from? And then I'm like, well, at first I wanted to listen to y'all. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to listen to y'all and see what y'all had to offer, because in my brain, I'm fed up with my words. I can't stand me. So I show up for everybody else. And then deep down inside, I'm looking for myself through y'all, because y'all are so cool. Y'all are so, and I do this with everybody, and it sucks because I can never be myself, because I'm so hyperactive on the next person, because I'm like, wow, like you so cool, man, and that's crazy, you did all that. And then when I finally get the bravery to talk about, things that I know about, people were like, well, damn, Curry, where did all that come from? Because you just went from being the shy kid for 4 months, 6 months, 7 months straight to you just releasing it all. Like now you won't stop talking. Now you won't stop talking about life and this and that. And like, one of my partners told me at work, like literally at work, he said, Curry, sometimes I don't know what to say to you when you explain stuff the way you do, because you go so deep that it's almost like what did he call it? He said it's almost like therapy. It's almost like as you're talking to me, you're in a therapy session, or you're uh, you have so much insight on what did he say? He said you have a lot of insight on, what did he say? Psychological. What did he say? Sheesh. But when he said it, it made me realize, like, okay, maybe I'm not too far off from like my authentic self, and maybe the only thing that I'm missing is just admitting to myself that I sometimes I feel like an imposter, like I have imposter syndrome or something. Like I can't believe me for me, because I'm so enthused with everything else in the world, and this, that, and the third. And then, like, if I say one word wrong, or if I regurgitate knowledge that's not, precise to what it's supposed to be, that maybe I'm foolish, or maybe like they can read in between the lines that, I'm not as real as they are, but I'm just as real. I'm in the flesh. I'm in the carbon. I'm like, I have blood running through my veins, and I don't believe in myself. Where does this imposter syndrome come from? I'm still in the works of understanding it, and it's almost like uncovering layers that you did not know existed until you are forced to look at yourself in the mirror, or you are forced to read in between the lines of what people say, and then come to grips that, like, oh, so you see me just like I see you. But then it takes someone on the outside looking in to almost identify with you, for you to identify with yourself. And I'm like, what just happened? What just happened? I don't know. I know where I'm going with this, and it's really been a minute since I even talked to myself on this level. I've been trying to create so many different videos on the cars, on just me being a mobile mechanic, or me moving to another state. It's like I'm trying to create all of these layers of who I am, but then I'm not releasing my most authentic, because then I'm like, I talk in so many parables where it's like, I don't know where I'm at, but then my brain has to catch up to the realization that I'm here. I'm here in the present moment. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that I'm here in the present moment. I just don't believe that I have something else to give other than my services, or my active duty, or me calling and telling somebody something good about themselves, and then I hang up and then I cry because I don't feel that same way about myself. I hear the strength in their voice, but then I'm hoping they don't hear the way my voice is crackling, because I'm almost feeding off of them. And then they come tell me how much I've evolved, and I'm like, no, you the one evolving. I'm the one who's in the same place. And they're like, how are you in the same place when you went from this job to that job, and you got this skill and that skill, and now you in climbing towers, and you showing pictures of sites that I wish I could be next to, and here you doing all of this, and you got the family, you got the kids, and you got like people following you, and here you are not believing in yourself. Like, how does that work? How does that work as you being who you are, but you giving me, I'm on the phone giving all my strength away because I'm not believing in myself. But I'm finding the strength by giving it back to you. By saying like, nah, you the one got it. I'm the imposter. You are the real. You are the authentic. You are the one going through life. And then I'm sitting up here acting like I'm not the same one going through life. And like I don't need the words of encouragement, because it's like I'm finding strength by giving other people words of encouragement, or like loving them in a way that I can't find to love myself. And then I got all of this stuff with me. I got overcoming tough times. I got the Bible with me. I got self-help books. I got planners, notes. I got all of these books, and I go back and I tell myself, I'm writing stuff about towers and e-learnings, and I'm trying to convince myself that I'm worthy of this knowledge and this position that I'm in, but not actually realizing that if it wasn't for my thought process, if it wasn't for the belief in myself in that very moment, I wouldn't even be in this predicament. I wouldn't even be this. I wouldn't be the struggle, the fight, and the progress all in one. It's like I don't identify with the strength because I'm only seeing the struggle. And then I don't identify with the struggle because all I want is the strength. And then I cover it up by trying to make other things happen, like my creativity. I try and I go into a space in a realm where I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get away real quick. Then I go try and do something, go make a video, or I got a ton of videos that I have never released because it's like I'm afraid that maybe someone's going to read in between the lines that I'm not my authentic self. And that hurts as well, because it's like, why don't I believe in myself? Why don't I have that strength? Why don't I identify with my future, my past, and my present? Why can't I see that my words are valuable and I'm worth every experience that I've ever went through? And I don't have to find myself in others, because I found myself in the present moment. I found myself in the present moment, but then I never believe it. I don't know if I'm the only one that struggles with this, but even as I talk to others, as I talk to my brother, I got a twin brother, looks just like me. And he's always telling me like, oh, bro, you so cool, man. You got it all figured out and da-da-da-da. And I be like, nigga, you the one got it figured out, bro. Nigga, I'm sitting here going day by day like, shit, what's going on tomorrow when I'm waking up today? And then he don't know I see him as so valuable, but he see me as so valuable. Then I trick myself into thinking that I'm not as funny as he say I am, or I'm not as witty as he say I am, or I'm not as brave as he says I am, and everything that I'm doing is just a hoax, and everything that he's doing is the truth. And I'm like, I just catch myself in so many thoughts where I just be like, where do I find the truth in what I'm doing today? Where do I find that present moment where I'm happy with self and I can believe that I'm worth the life that I'm living. I'm worth the kids that I have. I'm worth the present moment. I'm worth the position. I'm worth that breath of fresh air to myself. Why do I have lack of belief in myself when I went through all of this? But then I jump online and I be like, oh yeah, they killing life, man. They did this and they did that, and I was living life before social media, before I ever worked on a car. I was taking pictures of vehicles before I took it apart. I would take it apart and I would look at the picture that I just took and piece it back together before any of this was existing. I was doing this. I taught myself how to work on a car, but then I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm YouTube certified. Before I even knew what YouTube was, I was breaking cars down with no knowledge. I bought a car that caught fire at 13 years old. And I told myself, I'm going to get this back running. Oh, this my car. It's a T-top. It's this, it's that. 83 T-top Cutlass, all red, like super clean. Well, it wasn't clean. It was burnt. Underneath the hood, it caught a fire, an electrical fire from, I guess, whatever was going on. They had just put a 350 Wildcat in it from an older vehicle and took it on the test spin on the highway. Boom, car caught fire. I'm cutting grass one day with my pops, and I seen the car, and I told my pops, I said, man, Pops, I wonder what if they want to sell that. He said, go ask them. Me being shy, I didn't go ask. I wait another 2, 3, 4 weeks go by, and I kept cutting this grass across the street from where this car had caught fire. And I got the bravery one day, and I asked, I said, hey, what is this car for sale? What do y'all want to do with this? And and dude was like, man, you know what? He was like, man, I sell it to you. Well, granted, conversation stretched a little bit, because I asked him one day, it was no. Then I asked him like the following week, it was a no. Then I asked him again, he was finally like, man, you know what? You give me 350, 400, man, you can have it. I said, okay, cool. Boom. I get to working with my pops. Granted, I'm already cutting grass with my pops, so he was putting the hustle in me. Then I get to the point where I'm understanding what the hustle is for. Boom, I buy the car. I get the car back to the house. My partner, one of my Aunt Stacy's husband at the time, well, and still to this day, Robert, he said, hey man, your carburetor messed up. We took it to his shop, we rewired all the wires and did this. But before I did any of that, I'm taking pictures of this stuff, and I'm taking it apart and I'm putting it back together, and I'm like, okay, that's not it. Boom. Okay, this ain't it. Boom. I put everything back on this car myself. I got to the point where I didn't know anything about electrical. So I said, you know what? I got to take it to somebody. He went underneath the hood. He said, what we finna do is cut all these wires that's spliced and we're going to trace them down and we're going to put them back together. He said, once a wire gets a certain temperature, you can't run like electric. An electric post won't go through it. You know what I mean? So I said, okay, cool. No, I don't know what you mean. How much would you charge me to fix it? We go up underneath the hood. It took like every bit of 2-3 days. It was over the weekend. I remember this. It was over the weekend. We took 2 to 3 days fixing on it. He charged me $350 to fix all the wire harness on it. I'm giving all the thanks to him, not knowing that had I not fixed the carburetor before that, had I not took the alternator off, had I not cleaned up the brackets, had I not put the belts on, had I not put the new water pump on, had I not put the fuel pump on, had I not did all of that, the car, the tune-up, the spark plugs, the wires, the oil change, all of that was me before I even took it to him. But then I gave him all the glory. I said, you know what, man, this car wouldn't be running if it wasn't for you. And for years I ran with that. But I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that I still had part to play in that. I fixed it as well. So then I give all the glory to him, because I'm like, man, this is my first time ever hearing it run, man. Like, nothing I did was fixing it. So obviously you know more than I do. And come to find out, I mean, granted, he did know more than I did, but had it not been for the previous work that I put in, I wouldn't even have been to the point where I could just reloom the wire harness and get the car started. There was no distributor on it. There was no rotor bug cap. There was no wires. There was nothing underneath the hood. Everything was burnt. And that was my first experience with, like, imposter syndrome. And I don't even know if I'm saying the word right, but this is what I feel as if I've been going through these last decades of me just knowing myself. I finally understood something, and I don't know if it's a spiritual awakening or if it's like me just actually giving myself that true talk that I've always wanted to give myself. I don't know if it's like the solitude that's giving me more clarification on where I'm at and what I'm actually identifying myself to be, or what I've actually been through,